Notre Dame comes in 2.5-point favorite, and it's Notre Dame. So, and Miami doesn't usually have much of a home field advantage in the Orange Bowl, or not in the Orange Bowl, but Pro Player, wherever they're playing these days.
Hard Rock.
So, yeah, Hard Rock. So, being at home doesn't mean a lot to Miami, I don't think, or to Notre Dame in this situation. And it's interesting. We know what Notre Dame is. They are a heck of a team. They are an experienced football team that made it to the national championship game last year. But their question is at quarterback. They got the best running back tandem, either number one or number two running back tandem in the country, either of them or Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
But their leader back there is a new quarterback, and it's going to be CJ Carr. And that was a surprise because a lot of the stuff you were reading all summer was that Kenny Minchie was going to probably get the job. But CJ Carr got the job. So we're going to have to see what happens.
Yep. Former grandson of the former Michigan coach, Lloyd Carr.
I did not realize that, but that's interesting. Lloyd Carr, one of the great coaches in Michigan history.
Yep. Has some pedigree there. So the expectation, though, is that he's actually going to improve the passing game because, last year Riley Leonard was primarily a runner. He could throw pretty well, but his thing was running.
Right.
And
17 touchdowns out of your quarterback position is nothing to latch on. So Riley Leonard did a good job of running that offense, what it was designed for last year. But yeah, you're right. They would expect that CJ Carr is not going to be that guy. They're going to let those two horses they got that running back do their work, and he's going to throw the ball a little more.
Yeah. And they've got a great offensive line. Notre Dame has a great offensive line returning this year, and they have a great wide receiver group. You got Jaden Greathouse, which is a great name. Will Pauling, Malachi Fields. He was a transfer from Virginia. So look for them. Look for the offense to continue rolling. And especially against Miami, they did go out and get some secondary people transferring in. Keontae Scott, Xavier Lucas, and Zachariah Poyser. I think his name. They transferred in because that was really a huge weakness in Miami's game last year. If their defense could have done half of anything, they would have been a playoff team easily.
Yeah. And their defense wasn't horrible against the pass last year. Just really struggled against the rush. They couldn't stop a lot of people running the ball. I think they were 19th in the country versus the pass. So not bad, but yeah, the problem was not on offense last year for Miami. It was definitely on defense. And that brings us over to the other side. That brings us over to Miami, where you got former Georgia quarterback Carson Beck, getting the keys to the Miami Lamborghini and taking over down there. And
you mean he just drove his Lamborghini down to Miami?
Yeah, I did. It's ironic, right, that his first game's against Notre Dame because he didn't get to play in the game against Notre Dame last year.
True.
But yeah, we're gonna see how this works out. Carson Beck, coming into last year, first round draft pick, was expected, was a Heisman favorite after a great 2023 season. And it just didn't go great in Athens last year. Georgia won the SEC, but it wasn't Carson's best year. And he was still going to go pro. He was done at Georgia. Miami paid him a lot of money to go down there. And with that comes a lot of expectations. So the question for Carson Beck is, does he regain that form he had in 2023? He's coming off a major elbow injury, and I haven't heard too much about that it's given him problems, but it's always a thought that, that could be a problem, or if he got hit wrong as well.
Yeah, and to me, there's a few things that are going against Carson in this situation. Number one, coming off injury. Number two, learning a new offense. And number three, the wide receiver core is completely different than it was last year. They lost 5 of their top pass catchers. That's huge. So they're going to have to rely on transfers to come in. They do have some promising talent in Josiah Trader, but that's a huge question mark. And we saw how well Carson did with a subpar receiving core last year.
Right.
It wasn't great.
No. It was a lot better when he had Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers.
Yeah. He will have a much better offensive line, though.
True.
I'll give him that. So given time to throw, maybe he'll make his receivers good. He'll throw them open, maybe.
Yeah. So, I mean, this game, it's obviously huge implications for the college football playoff. Not really just for these two teams, right? Because Notre Dame, in their unique situation, they can potentially take a playoff spot from somebody, right? Because they don't have a conference championship and they have this nice little setup. 10-2 almost will always get them in the playoffs. And this year their schedule lines up really easy. They have Miami this week and Texas A&M next week. So every loss that that Notre Dame gets, a chance for them to lose and drop a game like they did to Northern Illinois, and they'd be out. And so for the Big Ten and for the SEC, and even for the Big 12 and the ACC, schools looking to get an additional at-large bid into the playoff, this game has huge implications. Also because Miami is one of those teams that might be fighting for one of those playoff games as well. So a Miami win would really help them look better because Notre Dame is a pseudo ACC school anyway.
True.
It could really help bump in the ACC if one of Miami's best beats Notre Dame.
Well, it's always a big deal when you beat Notre Dame. It just is. I mean, Notre Dame probably has like the most history, most storied program in college football with the mystique of everything. So whenever you get to play Notre Dame, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So who you got?
So Miami, this is important for Miami to try to win this game because they've also got a game against Florida in a couple weeks. So they've got a lot on their schedule. And unfortunately, I think Notre Dame's going to win the game unfortunate for Miami. I think Notre Dame's the better team. I think being on the road, like I mentioned before, I don't think that plays too much into it. I think they're going to be able to control the line of scrimmage, get pressure on Beck. And even if Carson throws for a bunch of yards, I just don't know if they're going to be able to do it enough to beat Notre Dame. So give me Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think Notre Dame is going to be able to handle this game. It'll probably be close, but with Notre Dame's offensive line and that rushing attack, that's a quarterback's best friend. So give me Notre Dame. I think Miami's offense is still going to be adjusting and trying to get rolling, and Beck's going to get, he has to get used to throwing with his new arm, I guess. So yeah, Notre Dame all the way.
So that's the end of our big top 10 matchups.